30 years ago,
Yes.
me and my best friends go to the movie theater, and we watch the movie. And I'm of age. I was of age at the time. I get home, and we decide we want to play Aliens, and everybody fought over who could be you. All these boys fought over who could be you.
That's great.
Because I was the lead.
Well, you were not only the lead, you were the baddest
You're the
ass
baddest,
character
exactly.
we've seen thus far.
Yeah.
So, do you hear stories about that? Like just the wide variety of people who Ripley spoke to and changed the way that they approached
Your
fandom?
story is now my favorite. Because how old were you guys?
I'm 14.
I was 14. Yeah, I was 14 also.
Well, I think that is a real tribute from 14-year-old boys.
14-year-old boys is
play me.
But
And I think Jim really succeeded.
Well, you did too, the embodiment of Ripley, from where she went from the first movie and then what you did in the second movie. We were talking before you got here about, for me, to see the arc of where she went, of losing her daughter, and then the bonding that she has with Newt, and then what she'd go through to reinvent herself into the maternal instinct was really stellar. For me, it changed me watching movies about what a female heroine could do, and
it really
it absolutely blew me away. It's the character
I think that Jim really understands. I think we really met where we feel about women, because I think we both really feel that women really get it done, and that all these stereotypes that are bullshit.
You're absolutely
and
right.
So I just felt like I was playing a normal woman who was put in these circumstances, and I wasn't going to be able to turn to anyone as I wasn't in the first one, and I think that's certainly one reason we're here, is that we really went for it with this woman. We didn't go, be a woman, really, you're a little too strong,
right.
So you really need a scene where you're going to go,
right, exactly.
That's usually what you get.
Right.
And you get the note about 2/3 of the way through the movie that they want you to be a little more sympathetic. And God bless him, and really all our directors, nobody had that silly, impractical thought. You don't have time to be sympathetic, do you?
No, not in the pressure cooker of this movie, absolutely.
And yet she is sympathetic because she's present, and she doesn't panic, and she's trying to help people.
Yep.
And even at the end, all of our characters are trying to help each other, which is another great part.
But it's so heavy. And luckily, Hudson exists, because that movie, if you take your character out of that movie, it's just so much to take in. It's just so heavy and so hard. Do you feel that responsibility of the levity?
Jim me as the pressure release valve. But I want to comment on what you're talking about with Ripley and Sigourney playing the role, and Jim. Sometimes these things kind of are serendipitous. This was the right guy to direct Aliens. He'd had a strong female lead in Terminator. This is a guy who's close. This is a guy who's close to his mom, who's still alive. He lost an arm years ago. I don't know if it was to cancer. But, he's still very. When I've socialized with Jim over the years, many more times than not, with his folks. Are always present, but this was the guy. What a perfect guy to come along and take this franchise and this character to the next place, because it was just great, and it was all of his movies have strong women roles. That really speaks volumes to the guy who's as macho as anybody that ever came to Hollywood.
And I think it's still true. What I heard. Maybe apocryphal, but I remember the producers of Alien wanted to meet Jim for another project, and he piped up with, "By the way, I've written this script on spec for Aliens," and they were like, because at that point you didn't ever do sequels,
Right?
And so he, even without getting the invitation.
Is that Walter Hill and David Giler?
They wrote the first one. Yeah, but they were the producers, and Jim at that point had only done Piranha 2.
Right.
And so he hadn't actually done Terminator or anything. And so that I thought was it. it invited him from the universe into this.
I mean,
world.
things kind of they happen for a reason. You getting past the original film.
I know.
I don't even remember the story, but you what did you? That was the movie where we all discovered Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah, that was really
In
my
more
first
ways than
movie.
one.
I'm glad you said it.
Was it your first movie?
I had done this little Israeli film, and I had, 2 or 3 scenes over 5 days. To all intents and purposes, I learned how to do it on Alien. Ridley said, "Can you please not look in the camera?" And I said, "Well, I would be happy not to look in the camera if you didn't put it right in front of me." So I didn't know, I didn't understand not crossing the
Right, not
line.
crossing the lines. Yeah.
That you're supposed to kind of go,
Oh my God!
Amazing.
all these stuff. But that's
This
the
is
best
a
way to
pros,
learn.
the pros
Yeah.
pro telling us this.
Amazing. Well, with Hudson, is that one of the roles that you hear? I mean, you've had such a fabulous
it was a
career,
landmark.
but he's
It's a
still
landmark movie for me, is for sure. It changed my whole life. And when I go to the signings, well, mostly they're for aliens, but I'd say 50% of what I sign is aliens related.
Yeah.
And the other 50 is every other damn thing.
and that
How
you're
did
quoted.
you find you?
I knew Jim. I worked for him. I was in his art department. But he saw me. I was making a short film at the time that I was able to sell this to Saturday Night Live. It was based on a song that Bill Mooney, the kid from Lost in Space, wrote with his buddies called Fish Heads. It was a big hit
Really,
Really
on
good.
Dr.
Yeah,
Demento's
right.
Yeah.
syndicated show. And I made this film. I sold it to Saturday Night Live.
Hi.
And when I was working with Jim, I got hired on his night crew on Galaxy. What was a movie that would become Galaxy of Terror. I've never even seen a picture. It was for Roger Corman.
Crazy.
And he heard that I had made this film, and he opened up to me. He started telling me about this cyborg from the future. He's writing a script. I said, well, what's it about, Jim? It's about a cyborg from the future that comes back to the present because he's going to kill this woman who's going to give birth to a son who in the future is going to lead a revolution against the machines. I'm like,